We're at the midpoint of our story. Resolution of hero's flaw becomes a matter of life or death. By the way, you should have some sort of ticking clock in play by this point. In other words, hero must solve the big problem by a certain deadline. Otherwise, death and disaster will strike. 25. Hero decides to take an even greater risk for the welfare of the community, knowing full well he may pay the ultimate price. He racks his brain for new weapons, new strategies, new plans, and while doing so, he inadvertently reverts back to his original behavior. After all, the flawed habits are deeply ingrained in his psyche. At this point, Hero may become so bold out of compensation for his fear that he marches directly into the face of the main henchman, Ego, the commander-in-chief of the enemy forces. Hero threatens to destroy him. Hero's building momentum, confidence, and rage. The antagonist henchman scoffs at him, sucker punches him in his flaw, and brings him to his knees. 27. Again, the audience may learn of the Shadow's most powerful weapon yet, a weapon so lethal, so unstoppable, it focuses the central dramatic question with greatest intensity. Will Hero prevail? Tension and suspense build. 28. Meanwhile, Hero may be deceived or misled. He'll struggle to entangle himself from more complications. Not only does he start to realize his plan is still weak, he also faces a major dilemma, but his choices are all equally unacceptable. What will he do? Scared to death, he charges forward like a bull in a china shop. 29. Shadow's forces await his attack. Hero discovers the full power of the magical key. He's smashed by it. Hero is down and out for the second time. Now he's in deep merde, really deep merde, the deeper the better. He expels a cry of defiance, then collapses. Our hero is destroyed. 30. Hero has now lost everything. There's no hope for his survival. He admits he's beaten. Sometimes Mentor will be killed because of Hero's mindless aggression. The trickster, in compensation for her own shame, will kick him while he's down, only because she can't admit that she's fallen for him. 31. Hero experiences the dark night of the soul, or apotheosis. He's totally alone, helpless. We see him for who he truly is, his soul laid bare. His only resort is to acknowledge a source greater than himself. More importantly, he sees that he's cut himself off from that source because of his ignorance, guilt, shame, and fear. Only now that he's been annihilated can he be reborn. He throws himself to the mercy of the universe. 32. Hero finally acknowledges the depth of his flaw or inner wound. Either he's gained sufficient insight to see it on his own, or he helps someone else with the same problem and sees his own reflection in that person. Or he becomes painfully aware of his flaw by seeing it in his antagonist. He recalls at last the traumatic event which caused him so much hurt and shame, the thing he recoiled from, resisted, and blocked out at every turn. He realizes that by doing so, he denied himself any and all opportunities for growth. He denied life itself. He knows he's got to change. 33. Hero, desperate, becomes overwhelmed by her own revelations. Again, she wants to go back home, back to her old, comfortable world, regardless of how limited it was. 34. Hero faces the grim reality that there's only one path that will lead to his redemption, the path to the Shadow's innermost domain. He must look into the very eyes of primal fear, that which haunts all humanity. He realizes only by facing whatever awaits him there can he ever hope to save himself or anyone else. He decides to make the ultimate sacrifice and demands audience with the Shadow. Once this decision is made, universal forces rush to assist him. He steps into Shadow's lair, the deepest cavern of his mind. After the barking and roaring and posturing, Hero's astonished to discover a helpless, quivering child. Shadow's seemingly invincible powers have been nothing but illusion. Remember when Dorothy discovered the mighty Wizard of Oz was really just a boisterous old man hiding behind a curtain? Let's pause a minute. What lesson must every human learn and master? He must learn that source energy, another term for cosmic love, will provide all he needs if only he will align himself with it. Remember in Star Wars? Use the Force, Luke. The shadow is the essence of fear, the opposite of love. Ego is the defender of shadow. Without fear, there's no need for ego, and so maintaining shadow's illusion of power is a matter of survival for ego. Hero further realizes shadow is nothing more than another manifestation of source energy or the Force. Hero discovers his fears are unfounded, his shame self-imposed. He requests forgiveness from the source and accepts absolution. He is purged, resurrected. He unites with shadow, befriends it, comforts it, and achieves wholeness. He heals his inner child. He repairs his conscious connection with cosmic love and basks in the light of a new dawn. This signals the end of the covert story. Shadow turned out to be powerless, but Hero still needs to deal with the henchman, the now rogue Black Knight, Ego, the dark side of himself that took on a life of its own. It's here that covert and overt stories converge. Hero has come to terms with his flaw. He knows how it originated. Now he must eradicate the monsters that it spawned and are running wild in the outside world. He must earn his complete freedom. 35. Now allied with Source, Hero receives a divine inspiration that will lead him to victory, that will provide the idea he never would have had on his own, the guidance that will tell him where to turn, whom to turn to. Hero assesses the enemy's magic key. He realizes he must take possession of it or come up with his own. At this point, his strength comes from acceptance of his death. No longer fearing death, he has no fear of anything. He decides to risk his life again, knowing he has little chance of winning. He becomes willing to sacrifice himself if necessary. He would have never made this decision at the beginning of the story. Back then, he was only concerned with his own welfare. Having faced universal fear, he now has love and compassion for the whole of humanity. He's acquired heart. He's deeply motivated to defend those weaker than himself. 36. Ego now runs scared. He gathers armies from the far corners of the realm. He makes an oath to destroy Hero once and for all. He makes promises he can never keep in order to bribe corrupt leaders and mercenaries into his service. "37. Armed with new power and wisdom, and backed by his alliance with his higher power or source energy, Hero returns from his inner psyche to the overt world for the final showdown. We can't imagine how he'll ever prevail over the antagonist's legion of demons. Hero assures us he'll do the best he can. Even his own remaining allies concede they have little chance. Those who should be assisting Hero betray him and side with the enemy. The final battle begins." 38. Here we ask, will Hero take possession of the magic key in time to beat the antagonist? Will Hero stop the ticking bomb before it blows up the orphanage of innocent children? There should be enormous suspense at this point regarding the central dramatic question. It's about to be answered. Still awkward with his new weapons, Hero falters. He's again defeated, as his nemesis promised once and for all. Ego, the arch-nemesis, makes his victory sermon. Clearly he has prevailed because of his righteousness. Clearly the forces of good were on his side. Hero gets hit with a double whammy. The trickster is unveiled. Hero is aghast by her betrayal. He pulls himself together and fights on. But no matter how many times the battle turns, antagonist continues to win. 39. But Hero surprises us. He's not finished after all. He rises up in righteous indignation with the magic key, a secret weapon, that element of power granted him by higher consciousness. Having witnessed the enemy's own fear, guilt, and shame, he exposes it now and cuts his opponent off at the knees. In the most unexpected turn of events, Hero prevails. At last, he and his allies claim victory. Only because he resolved his own inner conflict, harmonized with his fears, and reunited with universal power, was Hero able to resolve the community problem, which was, after all, a metaphor or the externalization of his own flawed belief system. 40. After the final battle, community celebrates hero's victory. Hero, happy to be back home, tries to settle back into his old pattern and realizes he's no longer comfortable there. He changes course. Both hero and community are now healed. Because of hero's sacrifice, the entire community has experienced amelioration and catharsis. The smiles say it all. Trickster has remorse. She wants another chance. Hero walks away from her. He's found healthy self-esteem at last. He doesn't need her for balance. He can stand alone. Here, a final image should indicate that your theme has been proven. Just like the basic story formula we learned in video 1, keep an eye out for classic story structure. You'll be surprised to find it hidden in countless novels and movies, big and small, old and new. I'm deeply indebted to countless teachers, too many to mention here, for helping me understand and compose this compendium known throughout the ages as classic story structure. It is the skeleton of an ever-evolving art form. That's it for instructional video number 3. If you're watching this on my website, you can download a transcript of the video below. Be sure to watch my other instructional videos in the video section. And be sure to sign up for my newsletter to get alerts about new lessons, books, and free giveaways. And please leave your comments below. We really want to hear from you. Thank you for dropping by, and hope to see you again soon.